What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Boîte Noire Radio. As you know, I am your host, Alistair, co-hosted by...
Beefy with the anxiety. Your favorite shit talking
Awesome.
girlfriend.
Hey, guys, we talk about anything and everything here, so you must have an open mind. Otherwise, you might as well just...
Get the fuck out of here. You can just...
Exactly.
You know what? You can just leave, okay?
Exactly.
Just go. It's funny that we start every show off by telling you can leave. It
People
might be a
leave.
bad
No.
It might be a bad business strategy.
Let me tell you why it's a great business strategy, because you get quality people that focus more on what you're trying to talk about, right? Because we're allowed to have different opinions and we're allowed to be different. And not only are we allowed to be different, but just because people even get along does not mean that you're not going to offend that person. Who in the world never offends anybody else? Like, who is perfect? No one, right? So you can't go around life just cutting people off because they think differently than you, right? So that everybody, there's a middle ground. We can all relate on something, and we can all be friends despite our differences, right? And that's why it's important to always...
A difference of opinion shouldn't be something offensive, and if you find it that way, we probably don't want you here, because we're probably going to have differing opinions than a lot of you.
Yeah, we're doing you,
and that's okay. That's okay.
And that's 100% okay.
And you know what? Something happened this week that I texted you about. You didn't respond to me. We hit 100 subscribers, Alistair. Can you believe that?
I think that's really awesome. I saw it. I saw the text. I was on vacation, and I saw the text. I just didn't have any brain cells to put into it. And I think that's really awesome.
But just to speak to your point about what you said earlier, the subscribers that we have that stay after the get the fuck out of there, get the fuck out of here, line each week. I've noticed, in comparison to my other YouTube stuff, our subscribers, they are ride or die. Like, the people that watch this show, you people watching right now, fucking love this show, and they show up every week. So we have quality subs. They're not the one in, you know what I mean, they'll watch one video once a month or whatever, or just pop in and see what's like. They are here, they're ravenous for the content, and it's we love each and every single one of you, and it was a huge milestone, and we just want to thank you guys for showing up each week. We love you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. And also, we are forever growing. We're not perfect, as you know. And so as we get better with our content and get better with our product here, you guys are here at the start. So of course, this milestone means a lot, and there'll be many more milestones. So I hope you don't get tired of thank yous, because there'll be more coming along the way.
Yes, very true. Very true. All right, man. Well, hey, you were on vacation. Let's chat. So tell me about vacation, man. How did it all go?
So it went very well. It went really well. It was a much needed rest. So let me give you the premise of the vacation. First of all, it was from Christopher's. Christopher had a work conference, and they cover everything, right? And so we were like, okay, well, since they're covering everything, why don't me and Lempia just come with you and benefit from a discounted holiday, 100%. Yeah. So
I'm not gonna lie, you seem a little exhausted. This might just be morning, Alistair. I usually see Alistair like 5 p.m. when he's all energized, and
I'm a little bit exhausted because of the ordeal of flying back. We had a flight canceled. We were put into a motel that was drug and homeless ridden. So no disrespect to anybody who's homeless and who do drugs, but the thing is that I have a little baby and we're walking around with luggages, and the last thing I need is someone by the door, with a needle. It's like, really? But
especially with a 1-year-old, that's definitely not
exactly right. Exactly. And so no, we didn't sleep because of that. But the essence of my vacation was absolutely stunning, because we went to Seattle, and we went to Seattle.
Ooh, did you go to Starbucks?
I didn't go to Starbucks because
they're everywhere.
they're everywhere. I don't really like Starbucks.
Yeah, me either. I'm a Dunkin' Donuts
Coffee,
guy.
their coffee makes me go, give me like the poops.
Well, I mean, all coffee makes me have to poop.
No.
But again, we talked about that difference of opinion. We probably just like divided our 100 subscribers in half. We probably just launched a war.
Diarrhea. Poop, poop. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying because we're crapping on Starbucks. People are either. Let us know in the comments. Are you a Starbucks person or are you a Dunkin' person? I'm from New England, so I'm obviously a Dunkin' guy.
And are you the buy your coffee at the store and make it at home person? Which is
I make it home.
Yeah, make it at home. How was your weekend? How was your week?
Oh man, yeah, so much has happened. Yeah, I had to. I mean, as you know, I broke up with my girlfriend in 9 years recently, and I had to evict her, dude. It really got
congratulations.
nasty. Yeah, I'm finally free. It feels like I've cut off an appendage. You know what I mean? It's I'm living alone for. Yeah, we'll get into it, but just to give you just a brief summary of what all happened. You know, she had a lot of issues she was dealing with, and it's her business, so I'm not gonna really dive into it. But she didn't have a lot of options of places to go, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's my responsibility. I gave her, I mean, realistically, like a year and a half to try and find a new place, and time had just come. She kept moving the goalposts and telling me she needed more time and more time and more time, and it just became clear at a certain point that she was just going to say that forever, So I had to just do the right thing for me, both for my mental well-being and, obviously for my sobriety, which comes first. I had to just, I had to make the selfish decision for the people that I love and care about, and it was hard because I'm not, I'm like a nurturer by, it goes against my instincts. She was asking me, oh, I need more time. I don't want to leave. And it was really flying in the face of who I am as a person, of trying to take care of the people I care about. And I still very much cared about this person. It was hard at times to be firm with her and set this boundary of, no, you have until this date. I've told you had until this date. You need to start taking care of yourself. Like I can't be your caregiver anymore. I mean,
caregiver. Wow.
She has a new boyfriend. Yeah, I mean, like it was one thing
already.
Yeah, that's another story. But yeah, again, we don't need to get into the details of it or whatever. It's really not stuff I want to be putting out publicly, anyways. But yeah, it definitely feels very freeing. I haven't lived alone in Christ, like over a decade. Like I've spent very small periods of my life living alone, just because I, as you can tell, I'm extroverted by nature. I collect introverts like little Pokemon, and then just like.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I
side.
Yeah. I mean, I say I'm extroverted in the sense that I can talk to anybody all day, and I do pretty much just talk to people all day, every day. But like, I also never leave my house, so I'm also introverted in that respect. So I'm a extroverted introvert, I guess you could say. Very much a homebody.
No, those exist. Those exist. You might be more of an extroverted introvert. Oh, that's what.
Yeah, maybe.
LOL.
Maybe.
No, I have questions for you. Hold on 1 second, because you said that it took you a year and a half to evict her. Did you go through the legal channels of eviction, or she just willingly walked away?
No, I had to go through the process of filing, and the sheriff came, and yeah.
That's so disrespectful because okay, she wasn't on the lease, right? This is like like you extended a help, correct?
So yeah, what happened when we moved in is she had heart surgery. Again, I don't want to dive too much into her personal stuff just to respect her privacy.
Of course.
But yeah, she had surgery and she was not able to work when we first moved into the apartment. So we were very much set up into a position where I was taking care of her, and I was fine to do that. Happy to do that.
Is her name on the lease? Was her name on the lease?
So she was listed as a subtenant. So based on laws and where I live, I was able to evict her technically as the landlord, because
as the landlord,
my name.
The subtenant. I see. Well, because eviction is not free. It costs money, and it takes time. And so the fact that she allowed you to go through that process means at least from my point of view, is that she didn't quite care of your pocket, so she didn't
Oh,
really.
yeah, that was it. I mean, to be honest, she spent the past 9 years. She never paid for a grocery bill. You know what I mean? Like she never paid for half of the rent. It was very much a situation of somebody needing a lot of help.
Sugar
And
daddy. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Wow.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think I was in denial of that for a while. It was no, there's always the excuse. You know what I mean? Like, oh, she's between jobs. She's going through this. The heart surgery thing came around at a really convenient time where it was like, okay, how long are you gonna milk this? But yeah.
But to your defense, I think it's it may seem like a negative experience. Maybe it was at the moment, but actually it's quite positive because it taught you a silver lining, and growth happens during times of silver lining. That's why I say, do everything possible under the sun. Just make sure you don't die, because then you can no longer learn. But because you survived this, you've become so much stronger and better.
Yeah.
And so this experience is actually quite positive because
Yeah.
it taught you something you would have never known. How amazing is that? Now you know something you would have never known. That's powerful, Mr.
Still painful. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm finally on the verge of crawling out of like probably like 3 or 4 week depression. Like when the breakup happened, I was very much in like a transitional period of my life.
Of course.
And it was really hard. Like you guys might have noticed, or if anybody is coming here from my channel, it was like I've kind of just been like walking around in a funk of very much like highs and lows. Like I'll have periods where I could barely get out of bed and I'm crying myself to sleep, and then other yeah, I mean it's and then other periods where I'm on top of the world, and it's just it's all good. It's the highs and lows of life. You can't enjoy a sunshine without the rain once in a while.
You're right. Like I told you,
I'll tell you on the bright side, it's like the universe is. I've noticed that when I start to make the right decisions, the universe has a way of just like acknowledging that I'm doing things correctly. My channel has been going off, bro. I got like 10,000 views in 24 hours, and I cannot be happier. I mean,
that's awesome. I'm really happy for you. However, just remember that because remember last time we talked about how like when the views went down, you went through depression, right?
Yeah.
So remember that. No, celebrate that, but don't stress if it doesn't happen again, right? It's
we talked about those highs and lows. Yeah, I very much live and die. Like I am on a real high right now. I'm like walking around.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the high, but
the endorphins are shooting and firing all over in my brain. But I'm gonna post a video next and won't do as well, and then Beefy will be right back in bed. What? Nobody loves me.
You're so funny. No, that sucks. But you know what your feelings is actually very, very much validated, because I can guarantee. First of all, you're human, but I can guarantee you, it's has everything to do with the fact of the social factor of YouTube without the social infrastructural norm, which is they are friends, but they're not in front of you. So how do you deal with the rejection, right? And also you're in front of everybody. We have spotlight shined on our foreheads, and so any comment hits a little harder, right? And unfortunately, the world enjoys making other people feel bad as much as they can. So it's important that you keep yourself protected, keep a little bit of yourself as a secret. So you can go back and mend yourself better a little bit. But no, I'm super happy for you. I think that's amazing.
I'm in therapy, and I have a lot of really good friends that I've been leaning on as of late, you included. And everybody tells me that you have to instill healthy boundaries, and it's something I'm really trying to like pursue, I guess is the word, like actively pursue it on a day-to-day basis in my life, because it's something that is very new to me. It's like I haven't really acknowledged like my damage, I guess is the best way to say it, like the bad qualities of myself and what leads me to these depressive states. And it's difficult, and the eviction was very much part of that. You know what I mean? It's like I have to be more protective of my
Of you.
core of me. Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like I'm just really kind of flying around there blind, just like,
Yeah.
and it's sacrificing my emotional and mental well-being at the brunt of it. So it's like I need to be a little more careful about what I get invested into, and yeah, that's all.
And also, don't forget that your value as a human being, as a person, as whoever you want to identify yourself as, it's not in how much money you make. It's not in
Yeah.
how you look. It's not in how many friends you have. It's not in how much possessions you have. And I think that's why a lot of people are not happy in life, is because their perception of their value is tied into something that is um objectified, if that makes
My
sense.
my therapist calls it external sources for validation. Like
Me
that's what
too.
I'm doing, is I'm pursuing external sources for validation when I should be finding that within. Like I should be
Correct.
happy with who Beefy is as a person first, and
Yeah.
then seeking validation from others.
Yes. And the way to be happy with who Beefy is to accept everything about Beefy.
Yeah.
The good, the
Yeah.
bad, the ugly, the beautiful, all of it, because it's you. You can't.
And again, that's where the damage comes in. That's where
Mhm.
it's difficult, because it's just not who I really am, kind of as a person, like that in my core. It's like it's very easy for me to just, oh well, no, I suck, and laugh at myself and self-deprecating jokes. And it's like, no, well, you need to stop that. Like, get you're okay. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, Beefy! If I could, I would hug you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's like I'm the caterpillar in the cocoon right now.
Yes.
It's like the butterfly will emerge. Just it takes time.
Yes. Really quickly at the conference, because I'm a toucher, and it's so funny because we were having drinks with Christopher's coworkers slash
Oh
friend,
boy.
and they were like, "Honey, this is HR lawsuit all over."
Ah.
They were laughing about it because I was having such a good time, and Olympia was. She wasn't napping. She was a good baby. She was not crying, and she was partaking into the activity. So we were able to have drinks without a crying baby, and the baby was just,
Wow.
I know, and they brought their spouses too, because everybody's mooching off those tax deductions, corporates. I get excited a little bit. So everybody.
You don't have to. You don't have to say exactly, but like, what field is Christopher in, if you don't mind me
Well, he's a
asking?
healthcare actuary.
Okay.
You know what they do?
Find healthcare for people.
So funny, but you're not far from the truth. Yes, but they find the best healthcare plan for companies and corporations to benefit the corporation. It's a necessary job, but the insider knowledge, it's not for your benefit or mine. It's
Yeah,
for the
I was
benefit.
about to say, it sounds kind of dirty, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
it's a little bit dirty. And every year, Chris says this is a year where healthcare in America will collapse. And then every time he's like, I don't know how we made it work.
Yeah.
Every time.
I mean, I
So
say it all the time. The only system worse than our criminal justice system in America is our healthcare system, and it's absolutely true.
yeah. And the forefront, the people who lose the most are nurses. Nurses always lose that battle behind the scenes. So they will preserve the general public, but they always screw nurses.
Huh.
You might not know that, because most people don't know, except if you're a nurse, you will know that your pay, they're severely underpaid, and they always get cut. Like if they need money somewhere, they always get it from the nurses pool.
I know it's a very competitive job field. Like it's
That's
like
kind
one
of
of the number one careers for like women in America today. Like young women looking to pursue career paths. It's like waitress and nurse.
Exactly. And then I chimed in and I said the reason why nurses always get the chop behind the scenes is because it's mostly women.
Yeah.
Those men. Sorry.
That was what made me think about that too. Is it's like, oh, it's just easy to take money from the ladies.
It's easy to get from the ladies. Yeah. It's not sick.
They're used to it. Is really what the mantra comes down to.
Sick. It's pretty sick. And But what was I going to say? Right, the HR lawsuit situation. We had a good time, and it was nice to meet the other spouses who were there. And it was also nice to see the actuaries talking about math and laughing. I was like, you guys are weird. But that's what they were doing. It was a good trip. We saw the Glass Museum. We saw the Seattle Needle. And
What does that mean? The Glass Museum.
right, so there's a guy who's still alive, and all he does is he's makes glass and he makes sculptures out of it. So there was a glass tree, there was a glass palm tree, like beautiful, beautiful work.
Oh, that's so
Beautiful work.
cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And but look, that's not even the gag. You know what the gag is?
You have to show me some photos.
Yeah, I can see some photos so you can show the people. Yeah, I'll show you some photos.
No. That's just for you and me. You don't need to see.
Okay, fine. Look. Here's a real gag. You ready to eat a banana?
You know, walnut.
Oh, walnut. The grocery store down the street had a SWAT team security. I'm not kidding. I should have taken a picture of that because I was too scared to get arrested. So it's you have the security door, you have a guy in SWAT gear, and a full on it looks like a
Semi-auto.
Yeah. I was like, wait, where are we going into? What's going on? Why is this? I was looking at the guy like, and I was holding because I had the kangaroo pouch. I was holding Olympia like this, and I was like, all right, well, Chris, I have to run. I'm gonna hold her head so she doesn't bounce like that.
This is America.
Sprint. I was like, why is there an armed force person in a grocery store where you buy diapers and booze? I don't understand. In a financial district of Seattle. And
that's why, because there's money.
It was wild, and I was so uncomfortable. I was like, okay, Chris, grab the diapers, the diaper cream.
And let's go.
The gummy bears. And then let's get the hell out of here because I don't know what that means. But it was surreal. And he wasn't even tall. He was tall. You know, we're not short people, but I was looking up and he looked mean. And I was like, shoot, what a deterrent. I was like, okay, job well done. I'm deterred from stealing. Like, what a deterrent. What an absolute deterrent. But no, other than that, yeah. Oh, and by the way, last point is our way back. A flight got canceled. I'm never flying United again. Anyway, a flight got.
That was your mistake. You're better off just like what's the best West? No, what's the really bad one?
Spirit.
I forget now. Maybe. Yeah, I think so.
Because the entire. Oh no, honey, you don't understand.
Oh, it's Delta. Delta is the one everyone complains about. Yeah, Delta is oof.
This is what happened in United. So apparently every stewardess or every pilot everybody there has a work window of 6 hours. So long story short, they couldn't find the crew to crew the plane. The plane landed.
Yeah, I've heard of this. You guys get stuck on the tarmac for too long and they can't find a crew.
They can't find a crew, and every time they find a crew member, the other one time runs out. So it was like, okay, we found the crew, get on the plane, and oh, sorry. The other stewardess lost the time. And so there was like a never-ending door of, sorry, I gotta go, my time is up. But then we find, like that I can understand, right? It's not the fault of whatever. But here is where I was like, oh, honey, you're rotten to the core. Because they find someone who is willing, like they're arrested and they're willing to go on the plane, but they couldn't get a hold of legal and corporate. So she was on hold on the phone. They couldn't get her approved because she couldn't get someone on the phone.
Wow.
And because we had everybody except that one flight attendant, and for like 7 hours she couldn't get someone on the phone. And as you know,
oh my God.
And therefore we went back to square one because we had someone, and I was like, what?
How do you not have somebody on call if that's a situation where you just need somebody to pick up the phone? That is ridiculous.
And just clarify the schedule, cooperate, go through legal. Like, I don't understand why you don't have that, United. And that's why I was like, oh, that means you don't have your stuff together over there in corporate, because this is a busy weekend, July 4th weekend. And it's not like, I understand, maybe you're short staff, maybe your staff falls asleep and like forgets to wake up, fine. But you can't get in touch with corporate CEOs. What are you doing? What are you doing making all these exorbitant amount of money What
Well,
are
I'll
you
tell you,
doing?
man. I'm in the corporate world. I'm very much in that sphere. You know, I go to the useless meetings and the benefit. You know, the
Okay.
the functions and whatever.
Okay.
And the number one rule that I live by is S happens. Like, no matter what, even with the best laid plans, you are going to get thrown a wrench that you never saw coming. Like, you do not know what you are unprepared for. And
Hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, but even if getting in like a phone call, like getting in touch with a person.
So that's what I was about. That was what I was about to say.
Oh, okay.
Is what has set me apart from others I've noticed that makes my work time so much more effective is being responsive. And even if it's just to text somebody back immediately and say, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something. I will get back to you." Whatever. But we all have our phones with us nowadays. If you're one of those people that isn't answering a text within a couple of minutes or whatever, like, I'm sorry, you're immature.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
No. Yeah, you're right. In my mind, I have an internal clock of you.
Like, how are you not responding to your emails by the end of the day? I don't understand that. Like, some people that just let their email inbox get stacked up full with it's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? I agree.
And again, it takes 2 seconds. Just send an email and be like, "Hey, I'm in the middle of something. I'll get to this later," or "Hey, I won't be able to, plan accordingly because I'm not going to be able to do this till tomorrow." Whatever it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hear all the time from customers like, "That's the reason I stay with you because you're the only one that picks up the phone."
It's because you care, Beefy.
Yeah.
If you were there in front of me, I'd give you another hug, and you'd be like, "I'll stay. Are you hitting on me?" No, I'm not.
No. We're friends. Like we've talked about. It's how we both. I would. You'd probably find that we'd be hugging each other a lot because I'm very much a toucher by nature as well.
Over there?
Yeah. Yeah. Like sitting there holding hands all the time. Oh, jeez.
All right.
Did you have time to find something from the internet this week, or do you want to just dive into the Dahmer of it all?
Let's go dive into the Dahmer, and then I didn't find anything on the internet, but I'm gonna talk more about. I'm gonna ask him some questions, Beefy.
Let's just do it. Let's just save Dahmer for the end. So what do you got? Fire him at me.
Okay. All right. So Beefy, here's my first question. Extra question to you, right? I have tenants, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you, because at the end of the year is coming up. I know it's like, what? It's only June. No. By the time July gets here, it's November, December, and ta-da, Happy New Year.
A lot of people's fiscal years ends in the summer too.
Exactly, right? And
July 1, actually, for a lot of I have a lot of municipal customers for towns and whatever, and almost exclusively, it's July 1 is the start of the fiscal year.
So my new tenants are just amazing. They're great, and so
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I know you've had experiences in the past, so.
Okay. I wanted to implement this interesting policy, and of course it will cost money, but I want to know what you would think if your landlord had once a year offered you a deep house cleaning. They come in, like I pay for the service, get a crew in there and deep clean the entire house.
Oh, you can't see it, but I'm doing the thing you do where you throw your hands up. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, such a great idea.
Perfect. Because I was saying to myself, I was like, because they take care of the property, but they're still tenants, right? So I still have responsibility as a landlord, but they do a good job. And so I figured, I was like, why don't I just knock two birds with one stone? Because the property inspections are so far stellar. And so why not offer them this service so I get points? Like, okay, because I do care about them, but also I care about a property, darling. Okay. So I got two birds with one stone where I make sure the property is professionally deep cleaned at least once a year, so it protects my investment. But I hope they would appreciate it because deep cleans are invasive. This is where they go behind the fridge. This is
you know what? Yeah, I was about to say I'm pretty clean, but there are areas where even people who are fastidious will not get to. And what will really save you is the pests. Because if you start to get like a rat problem or a bug problem,
that's exactly
that is a money hole that you will find yourself just dumping cash into.
Exactly.
And it could be a situation where somebody's clean and it's just, I mean, for example, right? We had a pest problem about a year ago, and it wasn't even anything that we were doing. Like, we found out that we were the clean tenants, but it was the people below us that were the problem. And they were, you know, the mice going through the walls and whatever. And like, we were seeing them in the house, and it's like, why are they here? You know, but it's because they're coming up to the clean space because they've nested down below and they're running out of room.
Wow.
And yeah, it's I love it because again, you don't even know what you can't see, and only experienced deep clean is going to get that.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because I don't know if people would find that super invasive, you know, because it is where they live, right? So maybe
I think some people will, but you're gonna get your radar up of the people who are probably problematic. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, why don't you want this? You know what I'm saying?
But it's a feature I was going to give to the tenants who have been a stellar for 2 years in a row. So it's like a perk. It's like a tenant perk. But in the back of my mind, it's also a bonus for me because I get to not only do you keep my property well and clean, but I'm going to go one step further for myself and make sure that you keep it stellar.
Well, here's the double-edged sword in that, though, because the ones that are probably really going to need the deep cleaning are the ones that aren't going to want you to do it, and probably aren't going to be the stellar tenants, to be honest.
Yeah. No, you're 100% correct there. Because obviously it costs $450, and
that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, you could toss 10 grand at a pest problem very quickly.
Yeah. For sure. And you're right. I just don't know how to make it make financial sense for bad tenants, because the money is subsequently whatever the word is
subsequently
taken from the pool of money from the good renting the tenant. So it's in the circle of where the money goes. It's not coming from my pocket, you know. So if the person is not a good paying tenant, I can't afford that service, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have those anymore. I've changed a lot. No, I don't have those anymore, but you would appreciate the service. It's not something you'd be like, oh my God, the landlord's so invasive. You'd be like, oh yeah, please come in, please. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a full day thing.
There's one thing I've learned from the eviction process. You will save money in the long run by being fastidious about getting good tenants, because you get a bad one and you can, again, like the pest problem, just like there are human pests, trying to get somebody out of your house when they're unwilling or unwanting to do so will become a hole that you will find yourself dumping cash into.
Yeah, it will be a complete disaster.
Because they're probably going to destroy your property in the process while you're trying to evict them is the problem. So you're not only dumping money into legal fees, but whatever it's going to cost you to get that property rentable, once you finally get them out, on top of not getting any rent for X amount of time it takes to get them out. It's just it's very much in favor of the tenant. And I'm happy it is so, to protect people that are, you know, subjected to slumlords, but people like you are the ones who ultimately end up getting the brunt of it, the good landlords.
Yeah, we do get the brunt of it. Although, you know, the politics right now are leaning more towards tenant friendliness, a lot more so, and it's driving small landlords away. Because it can become very unaffordable very quickly with one bad person.
Yeah.
Right. And when that happens, you know, it can ruin you. You know, some of these expenses, you know, it's a home we're talking about. It's not like candy bar. It's like it can be tens of thousands of dollars. Who has that?
Yeah. So you had a nightmare tenant. Have you since become whole from that whole situation? Like, have you recuperated?
I was made even not by cash. I was made even by equity. I was made even by the value of the property going up with the whole COVID rent.
Hold on.
Financial advice.
There we go. Go ahead. Continue.
I was made even by the equity of the home going up by about $30,000 because she cost me the total. It cost me to get her out and get the place ready to be rented. It cost me $20,000. So
Wow.
that money is gone. Like that cash is gone. But I was made whole, even by the equity of the home appraising for $30,000, and because the rent, I had to increase the rent from $1,450 to $1,850 at a time, and now my rent is about $2,000, and that's a huge jump in less than 2 years. And the reason why huge jump in less than 2 years, and this is where I say politics. It's so important because politics is how you make your money. If you
Well,
don't
the housing market has gone way, way up.
exactly, but also the legislation, the people in Congress, whether it's from the state or federal, affects your pockets. It's not the president of the United States. They're just useless. It's everybody else but the president who affects your money. And the reason why that jumped from 1850 to 2000, that jumped for 2 years because the legislature in the state of Maryland was running short in money, and so they decided to increase tax revenues from LLCs by an by a big amount. And in addition, they decided to subsidize a big portion of people who are not able to take care of themselves, let's just say that, by making things a lot more expensive for landlords through licensing costs, through inspection costs. They found a way, and it became so expensive. And then the property tax was raised. When I tell you the property tax of my rental property went up by $50,000. Okay, now
Wow.
exactly, honey, who's gonna pay for that? Like like overnight, like that? Really? Really, it was like homeowners were bitten in the ass, right? And so no, I'm not covering that bill. You're gonna pay for that bill, tenants. And unfortunately, that's how business people react to bad legislature. They transfer the cost to the consumer, because if they don't, then we go out of business. And when we go out of business, you don't have the service. If I go out of business, you don't have a home to stay. And that's the cycle that Congress,
legislature, yeah.
right, don't seem to understand. And in their mind, they think, oh, somebody else will come in with more money and more capital and handle the difference, which is true.
So you would have you would have actually made money in this whole thing, but because of Nightmare Tenant X, you actually ended up breaking even.
Oh yeah. I ended up breaking even, but I'm breaking even in equity, because that cash and I never, it's gone. That $20,000 and it's gone.
But the equity is also, I mean, unless
exactly.
we see a dip in the market, it's money that's good forever. So
it's the money I'm gonna get back if I ever sell. So, but I'm still short $20,000. Who has $20,000 laying in the bank?
Yeah. Like, well, the extra rent you'll get over time will eventually make you whole.
Right, but don't forget you have capex, which is capital. You have to upkeep the property.
Capital expenses.
Yeah. So
you'll get there.
Even though the rent is up, to get my money back in full will take me quite a few years, right? Because I still have a mortgage in the company.
Everything's more expensive, Getting people to come and clean the thing costs more.
Exactly. So that one tenant, probably no, I did the math for that. I'll tell you exactly. So for that one tenant to get my money back, it would take me about 15 years, which is the length of the mortgage. Right?
Wow.
So if I get two bad tenants, then my property
could ruin you.
It can ruin me. So that's why landlords have to be extra careful now, because the legislature has changed to where you cannot make a mistake. And I have a big advice to anybody who is struggling right now to find to find a place to stay, because that's a reality. Let me give you a tip, and this is from someone. Take it from me, because this is someone I'm in the circles, and they talk. And I'm always the outsider because I'm nice, and they laugh at me all the time. I'll give you a tip. This is what you do to get the attention of the
Well,
landlord.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you say that, but you say they lapped you on the outside, but your business ethics, because they are pure and that you have a high business morality,
Yeah.
you will outlast them. I know you've
Yeah. They have a lot more headaches than I do. I'm for the long run. I'm always for the long run.
Yeah.
And so some of them are no longer in business.
They're
Some of them
playing
are
checkers, you're playing chess.
exactly. Let me give you a tip if you have issues to get a place to stay. Because the biggest fear for a landlord right now is their property, their assets. They want to make sure that you not only going to pay the rent on time, but you're going to take care of the property, because any damage to the property is money out of their profit. And the profit margin are not that big. May seem big. They're not that big because homes are so expensive to upkeep. So this is what you do. You take a picture of the place you live. Take a picture of how clean and meticulous you are. And try to get in good terms with your current landlord and have him write a letter of recommendation. Then, if you can, don't go through the eviction process, because that would just literally, people won't even waste their time.
Yeah.
So you get a letter of recommendation from your current landlord. You get all the pictures you can, make sure it's time stamped of how your property looks, because these two is going to that's going to make you more competitive than someone with a good credit score.
Yeah.
Because if you can show that you forget even paying the rent on time. I tell you right now, from inner circles, the biggest thing is the how do you upkeep the property? Because we can negotiate the rent or late rent, but we cannot negotiate a broken beam, a broken wall. Like that becomes way too expensive. No. I'll tell you an insider story. In my circles, I have another one like me who is nice. And during the pandemic, unfortunately, I had a bad tenant, but he had a good tenant, and they were a good paying tenant, and they legitimately had a pandemic issue where they lost their job. And because that tenant was taking care of the property so well, so what he did is they did a barter system. It's like, okay, you maintain the property as pristine as possible, you mow the lawn, XYZ, and you can stay there until you get back on your feet. Do you understand that this particular tenant still has a place to stay? And he was forgiven, the landlord forgiving him for the lost rent, because he didn't have to worry about, oh my God, I got to fix the roof. He didn't have to worry about that. You see the peace of mind. And because my friend, who's also a landlord, owned the property outright, and the property tax was affordable for him to absorb. But he was like, I got a good tenant. And once he gets on his feet, it was more important.
He probably would have
of having a property damaged like that.
Yeah.
So scary to us.
And he probably would have spent more trying to pursue a new tenant than he would have just absorbing the cost of the rent for this guy to get back on his feet after the pandemic ended. Yeah. Did the tenant end up finding a job and getting back on his feet?
Yes, he did. He did.
Nice.
And so the pandemic was smooth for both parties. The landlord my friend was able to absorb the cost of the property tax, which wasn't a lot per year. It was $5,000 per year, but divide that by 12. That's how much. Yeah. That's how much it cost his pocket. Now he could absorb that, but that family was able to have a place to stay, and there was a peace of mind on both sides. And once he got his job back, don't worry about paying the back. He got his job back within the year.
And just to circle back to what we were talking about earlier with the business ethics and your circle of friends that are screwing over everybody they can that have low business morality.
Yeah.
Because this guy made the good business sense, the golden rule runs out is just try to take care of people, number one, first and foremost.
Yeah.
And everything else will fall into place. If you try to practice good business ethics overall, word of mouth will be any advertisement you could ever need, and you'll find yourself making more money than
you make more money in the long run.
In the long run, yeah.
Also, he was lucky to fall on a tenant that was considerate and that was really like, oh my God, what do I do? And who was decent enough not to be a jerk, because I've also heard horror stories of tenants.
Well, I mean, just like in the business world, like in the tenant world, if you're easy to do business with, people will want to do business with you more often. Yes. Like I have customers that, they might not be like they might be a little more frugal than others, but the experience of doing business with them is pleasant. And so I don't mind making a little less because I know it's going to be a pleasurable experience going through, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I know I just realized that I said I see them a lot in my circle. You know what I mean by that? Because so you might be like, how the hell do you see all these people on a daily basis? We do, because, for example, when you have a property on the market, someone has to go there and bid and research, and that's how you bump into people. Or like when a property is bought, you can see who bought it, and you go, "Oh, really?
That guy, bumping shoulders."
Yeah. So it's the circle is very small, so you bump into the same people over and over again, and they ask you a lot of questions. Oh, really? Is that how much you bought it for? Oh, I see you rented it for. Oh, for this, because they can see the numbers are public.
Yeah.
Oh, you rented it for this much? Okay. And then it's like, why are you renting for this much? This is not worth that. Like, everybody has their opinion. And then when you lose the property, it's also public knowledge. And you go, oh, you lost it. So you can't even come in and lie about like, yeah, I still have the property. No, you don't. I can see it. You don't have it. Like, it's
again, they might have the savvy business experience over you, but again, you get down to the business ethics. It really doesn't matter in the long run. If you're practicing good business ethics and practices, and you're running a fair business, you're operating on a much sounder foundation than those people are. Because it really just takes screwing over one bad person that it can ruin you.
But Beefy, let me tell you something. During the pandemic, I told you, right? Like with I had a mental situation with the whole George Floyd situation, right? But the second thing that was very difficult is that as a landlord, people didn't like I had to keep it a secret. I had to keep it a secret because people were like, "Oh my God, you are the reason why." You're the reason why. I don't know if I told you, my friend. I lost a friend over that because my friend Scott wanted to fight me. Did I tell you this story?
I think you did tell me that you lost a friend. I'm not sure if this is the same one.
Right, because through the eviction situation, I wanted to vent, and I couldn't vent on Chris all the time because then it becomes like so I wanted to vent, and he was like, "Wow, you're a landlord. Oh my God, you're part of the problem. Oh my God, you're a horrible person."
Oh my God, get the fuck out of here!
Yeah, he was about to put hands on me, and I was like,
those people really are out there. There's a whole subreddit for r/landlords where people rip on just because you are a landlord, they don't like you. And there are bad tenants, there are bad landlords, there are just like no matter where you go, no matter what you are or who you are, there are bad people and there are good people. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter where you stick your dick. It doesn't matter what you're doing with anything. Well, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't, like,
but
people
you're
are
right.
so ridiculous. It's like, God, there are assholes and there are good people no matter what or who you are.
I love it.
Landlord, tenant, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter where you stick your... Can we say that on YouTube?
I'm pretty sure we can.
It doesn't matter where you stick your dick. You know what other word, what other phrase we use? It doesn't matter how you get your dick wet. What?
Yeah.
Are we crossed the threshold? We're just talking about sex now, Beefy. You might have to put a banner there. Sex talk.
Yeah. Speaking of, you want to get into the Dahmer of it all here?
Let's go. Speaking of getting your.
Yeah. Well, actually, where he was sticking his dingling might not have been very because they're dead. Oh God, man! That was an image I did.
There.
Oh Jesus. Oh boy. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So we left off last week or actually 2 weeks ago, because we had the sleuth thing. Yeah. Was Jeffrey living at his grandmother's house, and with the death of Stephen Toomey at the hotel. Do you remember? He beat the guy to death while he was drunk. Yeah.
I know.
So he's coming to the realization that his sexual proclivities very much lie rooted in death and murder, like we're talking about. It's not that he initially suspected that he just wanted to fornicate with somebody that's holding still. He wants to fornicate with somebody that's dead.
Right.
And he is now being attracted to
death,
yes, and murder. And, despite all of his best efforts all of his life to repress these fantasies, the murder of Toomey would serve as an awakening of sorts. One might say a phoenix, a nasty, stinky,
That's a great analogy.
Head in a pickle jar, decaying flesh in his grandmother's closet. Phoenix that only serves to destroy and consume at the complete acquiescence of everything around him.
Ew.
like a reverse Phoenix, instead of the flames burning within, they burn anything around him. Everything it touches just turns to like what's the guy Midas, King Midas.
Oh,
everything
the
it touches, everything it touches bursts into flames and dies. Anyways, Anywho, Dahmer has now awakened his true murderous self and has completely let go. Like the reins are off. He's standing tall as his true self. He's realized his final form, and just a few weeks later after this, he goes out and captures a little boy, a 15-year-old named Jeff Dockstader, who he never saw it coming, and kills him and masturbates to his skull in his closet. So we then proceed to March 24th, 1988, outside of a gay club aptly named the Phoenix. I didn't do that on purpose. I swear to God.
Say, beefy, this one behind the scenes.
That's so weird. I did not mean to do that. That's so fucking weird. I wrote this like 2 weeks ago. I forgot that was. That's crazy.
You, beefy.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, at the Phoenix Club in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with the promise of $50 for sex, Dahmer was able to lure 22-year-old Richard Guerrero, there he is, back to his grandmother's house. Once there, the routine was very much one we are familiar with at this point in the story. Sleeping pills, strangulation, mutilation of the corpse, and then posting outside with that week's trash. And actually, pause break. How were the trash men not catching on to what had to have been a repulsive stench? Smell.
I have an answer for you. I didn't mean to interrupt. I have an answer for you. It's a good question. I have an answer for you because my brother-in-law is a garbage collector. And I say that positively for people who are like, what? No, please. He makes a good living. No, I have an answer for you.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. He's in the six-figure club.
He's in a six-figure club. And the reason why is because they smell a whole bunch of stuff all day, all the time. And they wear masks. They wear those masks that filter that stuff. And so if they wear the mask, it may not smell as bad. Or they may be desensitized to the smell, or if it smells super bad, and this is what my brother-in-law does, he just grabs it, put it in, and continues.
Yeah.
I tried to follow him a day at work. I only did one stop, darling, and I said,
"No, yeah, you told us in the last episode, yeah."
Like, I'm not doing this. Goodbye. Yeah.
Well, I think the uninitiated, most of us are not familiar. I've never smelled it. I don't want to know the smell of death. It's something I prefer not knowing.
It's very distinct. It's because it's something you never smelled before. Your brain will be like, "Oh my God, what is that? That has to be death." Yeah.
How do you
smell it?
How did you smell death? How did you know?
Ooh, so school. So at the morgue, they listen. At the morgue, they all prepare it. So when you get your corpses for dissection, it smells good, but there is at school, there is a for people who do want to study like mortuaries, study like death, you can go through the process of how to make a corpse not smell like a corpse. And because I'm a curious
person, it's called embalming, isn't it?
Yes, pretty much. Because I'm a curious person and I ask a lot of questions, and I was like, oh my God, what an opportunity. And I went and I was like, oh my God. No, it smells like rancid, rotten meat.
So you went to like death school?
No, it was part of a class.
Why?
You're so funny. Well, because I was curious.
Interesting.
Yeah. They show you the process. They show you the process. They show you the process. It's
very cool.
It's
all right. Okay. Interesting. Well, yeah. Where was I? We are stinky creatures, so it makes sense that
You said
depth.
how come the garbage man never got the smell? No, he smelled it, but he was like, "No, I gotta go home."
He
Bye.
just didn't care. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, moving on. On April 23rd, Dahmer found yet another unsuspecting gay local, Ronald Flowers. There he is. Oh. Broken down outside of another gay nightclub in Milwaukee.
How old is he?
Oh, how old is he? He's young. I didn't write down his age. I forget.
He got
Yeah.
in there with a fake ID.
No, he's of age right now. He is. So he's at least 21. I know that.
Oh, that's a young-looking guy. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so he's broken down outside of a nightclub, and under the guise of calling him a tow truck, Jeffrey Dahmer is able to coax him back to his grandmother's house. That's bold, I gotta say. Like, he's getting pretty brazen in these crimes. Like, he's doing this stuff all with Granny tucked up in bed right upstairs.
Grandma.
Like, I'm sure he had to have been with this guy. Like, oh, you're gonna wake my. Like, we actually
Grandma
we
doesn't
see
care,
it.
It seems
We see it in the Netflix show. He's like, "You're gonna wake up my grandma," but like, he's choking him like, "I said be quiet. You're gonna wake up my grandma." Yeah, but I mean, with Granny sound asleep upstairs, Dahmer is bringing these people back, sleeping them and killing them. It's insane.
Yeah, he's getting very bold with it because Grandma's not doing anything at all. That means, it means Grandma home feels so safe. It's so lovely that he is so comfortable. Yeah.
I mean, if you think, is there really a safer place in the world? Think of what your grandmother's house looked like. It just feels like tranquil, like being wrapped up in a blanket.
Oh my God, that is so true. My grandmother was the bitch. Yes. yes, you're right.
I have a distinct memory of spending the night at my grandparents' house, and my grandmother, she's since passed, but she made me pancakes, and she brought out the blueberry syrup, and I'd never, as a child, experienced like the blueberry syrup before, and it blew my little child brain out of my skull. It was like, it's blueberry flavored syrup, and now every time I go to my grandparents' house, even after she's since passed, I like.
Yeah, it's
like I am like, I feel like I can almost smell it or like taste it. You know what I mean? Like the blueberry. Yeah. Anyways, that made me think of that.
Yeah.
I think about my grandma's house and just boom, blueberry syrup. But yeah, okay, so luckily during this whole Doc Stater thing, right after he sleeps, Flowers the sleeping pills, his grandmother wakes up. Is that you, Jeffy? And it almost certainly ends up saving Flowers' life. His grandmother was wide awake at this point. He can't safely murder and violate the body with his, and have this unconscious man on his grandmother's couch. So instead of, murdering him, he ends up dropping him off at the County General Hospital. Flowers would ultimately end up to testify at Dahmer's trial. He was one of the only people that survived. Yeah.
Well,
like I said, they had to drop him off at the hospital here, and I have a little clip. 1 second here.
Wow, that's amazing. You're lucky. Lucky young man.
Yeah, very lucky.
Do you think he would have killed the grandma if she was like, Jeffrey, what is that? Ah!
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, he looks so disgusting.
Right. So this is Flowers testifying at Jeffrey Dahmer's trial.
Did you make any observations of him at that time?
At that time, no.
Okay. Did there come a time when you started talking to him?
Yeah, after he kept talking, and he asked me what was wrong, and I told him that my car was broken down, and I was trying to find some friends of mine to help me get it going so I can get back home.
And what did Mr. Dahmer say in reply to that?
He said that he had come down to the bars and he thought that he was going to be drinking, so he didn't drive his car down. He took a taxi in case he would get too intoxicated to drive.
You say anything else?
I probably.
Okay. What happened next?
Well, then he of course he offered to give me a ride to go with him to get his car to bring it back to jump start my car, and that was about the first time that he really caught my attention. Mostly because it seemed as though he had the solution to the problem that I was trying to work on. So then I began to talk to him.
Okay. And what'd you say when you started talking to him?
Well, he asked a lot of questions. He told me initially that he had recently moved to Milwaukee from Ohio. He told me...
Yeah, we don't have to watch that whole thing, but yeah, there's just a little sampling of his testimony there. It's really long, so we don't need to watch that.
The first thing I'm noticing his body language with Dahmer is that he's not looking at his victim, and you might instantly think like maybe it's shame and all, but no, it's not shame, because that's just his gaze, because the rest of the body language seems annoyed, not uncomfortable, but annoyed. He is not closed off, meaning that he is confrontational without looking. He's a monster. If you want,
I will say, and I hate to interrupt you, but Dahmer was one of the only serial killers that was remorseful about his actions.
Really?
When he got arrested, yeah. Huh?
As in like remorseful for the victim or remorseful for his actions?
Both. He confessed to the crimes right away, and it was very much like he referred to it as like an unloading of sorts. Like he had the best night's sleep that he ever had the night after he started to confess to the crimes.
Okay, wait, pause. Now, if let's just say because if that was true, one thing he says, right? But if that was truly true, do you think if we had, let's say, okay, Dahmer, you're remorseful, you're forgiven, would he have continued his killing spree, or would he have stayed into rehab?
So he even addresses that. He says, like, thank God you caught me because I wasn't able to stop. Like
Okay. Okay. Oh, I wasn't interrupting. I was agreeing.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if I believe him, but that's without being in the room, I'm a pretty good judge of character on people's, how they interact with you. Just like I have a pretty good bullshit detector, more or less to speak. But that's what's in the case files, is that he was very adamant about that he was happy to have been caught, basically.
So let me ask you this question again, because you said you have a good bullshit detector. Would you have fallen for Dahmer?
Well, I'm not gay, so no.
No, not like that. Like not like that. Okay, let me rephrase the question. As in, like, let's say he's like, no, I'm remorseful. I'm remorseful, officer. You're the officer. Would you have, or the detective? Would you have agreed
that he was remorseful?
Yeah.
Again, I'd have to be in the room with him. You know what I mean? Like it's very much like a litmus test. You know what I mean? Like it's you can just feel someone's authenticity. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah. But those psychopaths, sociopath, and narcissistic people are very good.
That's true.
Playing on our little empathetic strings. They are very good at it.
Yeah. And I do tend to lend empathetic, so I probably would have believed him, and it could have just all been bullshit.
Yeah, we were all being victim. He's so funny.
I mean, to a certain extent, it is bullshit because he wasn't stopping himself. You know what I mean? So yeah.
He was telling us something we wanted to hear, and it's funny you said that Dahmer is the only criminal who felt remorse. I think Dahmer is smart enough, and
one of is what I said.
One of them, smart enough and crazy enough to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe if I play into this, or let me just create this narrative that I'm the remorseful murderer, because it worked, right? Because he went down in history as being one of the most remorseful one.
Yeah, very true. All right. Yeah, so Flowers escapes, one of the only people to ever live through Dahmer.
Wow.
Okay. So this event is important because it ultimately causes Jeffrey's grandmother to ask him to move out. Actually, largely because of his drinking, mostly. But the incident with Flowers was, the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. So Dahmer ends up finding an apartment at 808 North 24th Street in Milwaukee and moved in on September 25th of 1988. Only 2 days later, Dahmer was arrested for drugging and sexually assaulting a 13-year-old boy who had lured back to his apartment in the guise of a nude photo shoot for money. He would ultimately plead guilty to these charges on November 30th, 1999, putting Dahmer on the sex offender list, finally, because of probation requirements.
Finally.
Yeah. I mean, like, seriously, how is this guy we're like...
You're so stupid. I love it. He's like,
well, he was able to plead out because remember he exposed himself at the fair and then it's
right.
insane.
Oh, the family didn't expect that, but I love it.
But yeah, because of probation requirements, Dahmer had to move back in with his grandmother. He wasn't allowed to live alone. So a mere 2 months later, he murdered his fifth victim, 24-year-old Anthony Sears. There he is.
Oh, what a good-looking man.
Yeah.
By the way.
That will become a play in this, but yeah, go ahead.
Good hair. I'm so sick of the 80s at that time. You like what? Even when you were playing the video, I was like, everybody has good hair. Maybe
we're borderline 90s, and actually the footage you saw was 90s.
What happened? Because I don't see that good hair today in the 2000s.
I mean, that's just a pretty standard crew cut. That's not.
But I was even this guy. But even going back to the video that you just showed.
Gotcha.
Had good hair. The defense attorneys had good hair. Everybody had good hair. Wow, I would have. Yeah, maybe I have a hair fetish.
It's very much the it's very much the style nowadays to keep it short for a lot of people. It's short is in. Anyways, so yeah, he meets 24-year-old Anthony Sears at a gay bar on March 25th, 1989. Just like Guerrero and Duckstader, he lures him back to his grandmother's house, and then we know the story. Sleeping pills, strangulation, out with the trash. And I hate to breeze over these so quickly because they're human lives, but
no, I know, I understand.
Like in the interest of time and like to make sure we get through all these victims, like the facts are just so similar. We kind of have to, and we know the details.
Nice,
like this is it's very much just business as usual for Jeff at this point.
Nice teeth. Ugh.
The only thing that really set Sears apart was that Dahmer found him particularly attractive. Like we said, that how the him being a very pretty man was going to play a factor here. He ends up preserving Sears's head and penis in acetone, and he ends up keeping them in a wooden box in his locker at work. And these mummified remains would become part of the evidence recovered from the crime scene when he's ultimately arrested. His head and his mummified penis.
Work? Wow. You know what that means? That means he really loved them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He really kept. He's like, I love you. Yeah, he kept it.
Yeah.
Sorry, boy.
When they ultimately arrest him at his apartment 213 at 924 North 25th Street in Milwaukee.
Okay.
This, my friend, this is the apartment where shit is about to go down. When you hear stories about Dahmer, this is where it takes place. The story is going to take a massive, massive upspike in violence, disgustingness, like lewdness, because he's on his own. He's getting his own apartment now.
Yeah. He's truly unleashed. Another Phoenix moment. Yeah.
Yeah. He's totally embraced all of the evil and murderous proclivities that he's harbored deep in his subconscious, and he's just he's free to impress them upon the unsuspecting minority and homosexual community of Milwaukee. But this apartment building has since been abandoned. Like since he got arrested.
I was just about to say poor landlords because they might be like, yeah, nobody wants to rent here. Nobody wants to rent here.
To this day, the building still stands, but it is not. It's not rentable. Yeah, it's the Dahmer house.
Nope.
So within a week of moving into this apartment, Dahmer would kill his sixth victim, 32-year-old Raymond Smith.
Good-looking guy.
And again, we know the story. $50. I'll give you $50 for sex. Sleeping pill strangulation. The day after Dahmer kills Smith, however, he would buy a Polaroid camera where he took several pictures of Smith's dead body in various promiscuous poses. He would then boil the arms, legs, and pelvis in a steel kettle filled with soy wax, which would strip the flesh from the bones clean. Dahmer then dissolved the remainder of Smith's skeleton, except the skull, in a rubber tub filled with acid, which he kept in his bedroom. He later spray painted Smith's skull and kept it inside a filing cabinet in his apartment, alongside Sears' mummified head and penis. Not even a week later, Dahmer lured a young man back to his apartment, where he pulls the Princess Bride again and mix up the drinks, and ends up drinking the one with the sleeping pills in him. And he gets $300 and his watch stolen from him from a prostitute. That guy has no idea how lucky he was.
I think he got $200. Do we have him?
We don't. We don't know who it was. It's just a story that Dahmer recounts.
Him.
Yeah, and we don't know his name because he didn't kill him. He got away.
Wow.
So yeah, again, one of the only people to have survived Dahmer and has not since owned up to it. May not have even known that it was Dahmer. He just has a story about, hey, this guy fell asleep and I robbed him.
Yeah.
Probably. He probably would have saved dozens of lives if he had killed him.
Yes.
If he had done to Dahmer what Dahmer would have done to him, it would have saved dozens of lives.
Can you imagine what would have been like to be in Dahmer's head when he woke up? Like, oh God, what happened? I'm alive, right? No remorse there. Anyway.
So a few weeks after that, Dahmer lured 37-year-old Edward Smith. Wait, did I mix up the names?
It's okay to mix up the names. Just correct. Just say, oopsies, the wrong person.
Oops. Oh, no, that's right. Back-to-back Smiths. Raymond Smith and Edward Smith.
Two Smith.
Huh. Back-to-back, yeah. That's odd. I didn't notice that when I wrote this out.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where we start seeing his type. He likes black men. Okay.
Well, he's also living in a very low-income neighborhood, so it's very much, like what's around him. I don't think he had a type. I think, actually, to his credit, he was colorblind. He just liked men.
Colorblind.
Like killing them, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, he might have not even known these guys' names until after he killed them. Can you imagine him looking at the licenses like, wait a minute, another... Yeah. So he would do, again, the sleeping pill, strangulation, mutilation thing. He would try another method of preservation on Smith. He would place his skull in the freezer in an attempt to prevent moisture retention. He would then place the skull in the oven, causing it to explode. Dahmer would confess this was one of the only murders he ever felt remorse about. Not because of the extent of the brutality, mind you, but because he murdered... Yeah, he murdered someone and had nothing left to show for it afterwards.
It still quite amazes me how much science knowledge he really had. Like to know the simple fact of water retention. I can't believe I'm using so much. Sorry.
No, you're good.
That's not something small. That's something that you research or through trial and error, because there's no Googler at the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he must have done that so many times.
Okay. Buckle up.
Mm-hmm.
Less than 3 months later, after this murder of Smith, Dahmer hired Ernest Miller. He hired him to lay on his chest and listen to his heart and stomach. However, when Dahmer attempted to perform oral sex on Miller, he was told, "That'll cost you extra money," which Dahmer did not have. Jeff also found himself in a particular predicament because he was light on his sleeping pills at the moment. So when Jeff slipped him the last 2 sleeping pills that he had, the drugs did not take the way he needed him to render him completely immobile. So rather than electing to strangle him, and certainly not about to let him go, Dahmer pulled out a knife, slit his throat. This is the same knife that he would use to cut up the bodies, by the way. And he would, slit his throat across his carotid artery, causing him to bleed to death within minutes. Dahmer then pulled out his Polaroid camera and posed Miller's naked body in various suggestive positions for photos. When he was done, Dahmer placed his body in the bathtub in order to get him ready for dismemberment. Dahmer playfully whispered sweet nothings into the ear and kissed ever so gently on the lips of Miller's severed head during the process of removing his arms, and legs from the torso. He then cut out Miller's heart, liver, biceps, and large portions of his leg muscles and placed the meat into storage bags, which he then froze for later consumption. He then stripped the remaining flesh from the bones and piled it into a vat with the organs to be boiled in Soilex until they formed a jelly-like substance. He then bleached all of Miller's bones and dried on cloths for about a week. He kept his severed head in the refrigerator for a number of weeks, every so once in a while, removing the head for a quick peck before going off to work or telling a quick joke before bed. Until finally the decomposition had reached a point that Dahmer was forced to also strip the flesh from the skull, and they did the same process as the bones until he had massed an entire skeleton, and thus would become the final resting place of Miller's remains, a fully assembled skeleton which Dahmer kept in his closet of his apartment until the day he was arrested.
Do you know what's so crazy to me is that you reading this and me visualizing Dahmer doing this mess. He's doing it with a smile.
Yeah.
Fixing his glasses and flicking his hair.
What a horrifying image. Dahmer, pulling out his little head out of the refrigerator to give it a little kiss on the lips before going to work. It's disgusting.
Good night, darling. Mwah.
Yeah.
What?
Horrifying.
By the way, a little thing you mentioned. So he will lure this man with money. So now I see. So he realized really quickly he could prey on the minority community.
Yeah.
It was easier to lure them into the home with $50 for let me just get your wet for $50.
That's what I said. He's like a shark in the low income neighborhoods between the low income black neighborhoods and the gay community. He was very much running amok because police presence was little to non-existent.
Which would explain maybe why nobody complained in that building. Because how'd you bring acid in a tub? How'd you do all that without a nosy neighbor like me?
Oh, it was very much part of the conversation. We'll get into some false for police reports, but there were neighbors, and if you've seen the Netflix series, it very much becomes part of the narrative. But there were neighbors that were complaining. And he would just come up with some little story. At one point he said, "Oh, I had a bunch of meat that spoiled in my fridge and I need to get rid of it." And then again, a same neighbor complains that, he smells death. She can hear a chainsaw running at night. And he just says, "Oh yeah, my tropical fish died." That's what he told his landlord. And they believed him. They were just like, okay. But
making chainsaw noises.
People would call the cops. They'd come check in on him, and he'd just be like, "Nope, we're gay. He is asleep. Don't worry about the guy passed out on the couch." And the cops would not want to get involved. It's just they're gay. They're being weird.
Adults having a little good time, and they're like,
back in the 80s, yeah. It's weird. We don't understand it. I don't want to be here.
Yeah,
let's leave. Yeah, that's very much part of the problem of why he was getting away with so much of this. Disgusting. I had to kind of braze through some of these victims because they're they're living people that died in this man's hand. We just don't have time to get into the details out of them. Yep. So suffice it to say that the murders of David Thomas and Curtis Strofter were very much of the same routine that we are familiar with: the sleeping pills, strangulation, and mutilation.
The guy on my right is giving me face, darling.
So wait, the right? Oh, that's the one on the left. The one on the left.
Oh, well, on my right. But yeah, I guess the left. He is like, picture? Okay. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And this will lead us into what I have lovingly referred to as the zombie experiments. I told you we're about to get messy, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the mess. Things will get real slimy from here. That much I can promise.
What a great word, slime. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, slime. I know. Yeah, I love the word slime too. On April 7th, 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer encountered 19-year-old Errol Lindsay on his way to getting a key made.
Errol.
Yeah, I know, Errol. Poor Errol. Dahmer lured Errol back to his apartment, where he then drugged him, and while unconscious, he drilled a hole in his skull and injected hydrochloric acid with a turkey baster in hopes of creating a, quote, sex zombie. Hours after the procedure, Lindsay would wake up to stare Dahmer blankly in the face and complain of a headache, asking what time it was. Dahmer then drugged Lindsay again and strangled him to death. Errol's family obviously learned of the details surrounding his death, and his daughter was quoted as saying, as recently as 2022, "I see Jeffrey Dahmer in my sleep." Really sick stuff.
You know what's very interesting about the fact that he was trying to create a sex zombie is because I think he may have gotten tired of killing. Maybe he was trying not to kill them, but to make like a zombie doll. You're right, like a zombie.
Well, like we talked about in episode 1, this is very much rooted in his abandonment issues, and having a dead person really doesn't solve that problem. Like, there's a warm body there, but they're still gone. They're still not a person. I mean, it's true. Like, they might physically be there, but the person that person was, the soul, is gone. It's gone. Exactly. And I think that we're seeing a manifestation of Dahmer trying to come to grips with that he wants to form intimate relationships, doesn't know how, and is stuck in this place of not wanting to be abandoned, but also not trusting people to not leave him. And we're kind of seeing the collision of those two forces at play, where he wants them to be alive, but he doesn't want them to have the free will to leave because he's creepy.
I have another question for you really quickly. Do you think Dahmer would have been different if someone like hugged him a little harder and said, I don't know, don't kill me, but I'll try to play dead? I don't know. Do you think if he had love,
I think even if he had a boyfriend, that these murders would have at least slowed, for sure. Yeah. This is very much conducive of somebody that spends too much time alone and not very lonely. Yeah, not loved. Yeah, the abandonment, again, that's the motivating insight. It's the inciting factor for all of these murders.
Okay, who takes one for the team? Not me. No, I'm playing. Continue.
Yeah, no, I'm yeah. On May 24th, 1991, Dahmer will come across 30-year-old aspiring model Tony Hughes. Oh, look at him. He looks like a model. Yeah. He meets him at a nightclub. He was lured to Dahmer's apartment with an offer for money for lewd and lascivious photographs. He, too, would get a hole drilled in his skull and hydrochloric acid injected into his brain. The procedure this time would prove to be fatal, and Hughes would not survive past the injection.
Well, yeah.
Excuse me.
He probably drilled the hole a little deeper.
This one was interesting because Netflix developed an entire arc around Hughes's death, despite his family, particularly his mother, very vocal protest against it.
Yeah, sure. I would too.
In the Netflix show, him and Dahmer, like, they kind of build a relationship of sorts. Like, this was the closest Dahmer ever gets to actually having a boyfriend. Yeah. Like you said, remember the whole, if you get trapped in the apartment, you play like I got a surprise for you. We see that moment almost come to fruition where the boyfriend is leaving, like they spent the night together, and Dahmer's actually going to let him go for once. Like, he's going to let him leave. And he says to him, like, oh, how do I know you're going to come back? And the guy's deaf. He signs to him, trust. And it's actually kind of like a sweet moment. You know, it's cute. It's like, okay, he's learning to be human here. Like, this is the give and take of relationships. Like, you very much have to be vulnerable and put yourself out there. And there is a certain aspect of trust involved of, you know, I like you and I'm going to keep seeing you, you know? In the show, he like forgets his keys or whatever, comes back, and then Dahmer hits him over the head. But it's very much not what happened. You know, he was a prostitute. He got paid for sexy photos, and then he was killed, you know, right away. So the family did not want Hughes being on the show, and they were very vocal about that. Not that you could put a price on her son's memory, but I do want to mention that her mom actually won a lawsuit
against Netflix.
Against Dahmer. So any money that he would have earned, up to $1 million, would have been given to her in a civil lawsuit. So I think she did make a piece of coin from the Netflix show as vocal as she was against it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Again, not that you can ever put a price on her son's memory. The two are not comparable, but, you know, at least she got some money out of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. On the afternoon of May 26, 1991, Dahmer would encounter 14-year-old loud teenager Conoric. I practice this. Synthansum foam.
Welcome to my
Synthasim
field
phone.
when I speak English. Yeah.
Synthasim phone.
Yeah.
Synthasim phone. While walking along Wisconsin Avenue. Although Dahmer didn't know it at the time, Synthasim phone was the younger brother of the young boy he'd molested back in 1988. Although the boy was reluctant, the offer of money for photographs ultimately won him over, and he accompanied Dahmer back to his apartment. Konarak would agree to pose for photographs in his underwear before Jeffrey would drug him and lead him stumbling into his bedroom, where a beaten and bloody, dead Anthony Hughes would still lay on the floor next to the bed. Luckily for him, the boy was too out of it to notice the dead body laying next to him and fell unconscious. Dahmer would then perform oral sex on the boy's sleeping body. Dahmer would then drill a very narrow hole in Synthasim phone's skull and inject hydrochloric acid into his frontal lobe, just like Hughes and Lindsay. Dahmer would then cuddle ever so closely next to the boy's life, now believing against the boy's lifeless body, now believing him to be dead. After a few hours and a few beers laying next to him, cuddling, Dahmer would stumble out of his apartment to a nearby bar, again believing to have 2 dead bodies in his bedroom at the time. And after spending some time at said bar, Dahmer would begin to walk home, purchasing some alcohol on the way home. It was upon his approach back to the apartment building that he noted a naked Synthasim phone stumbling around outside at the corner of 25th and State, barely able to get out mumbles of "Lao" to 3 women who had found the poor boy barely able to walk, and again naked, probably due to the acid in his brain. Dahmer approached them with reassurances that the boy was an adult and had simply had too much to drink. Let's hear Dahmer explain the situation in his own words.
Wow. That is insane.
Yeah, this is crazy. Again, we're going to get into the police presence on this and how they completely flubbed this because of the gay factor. Horrifying.
Oh, gays, we were always marginalized. Always.
Yes.
Conrad's Synthasim phone was only 14 years old when he met Jeffrey Dahmer at the Grand Avenue Mall. Like the others, Dahmer offered him money to come back to his apartment. In a video deposition for a civil suit filed later by Synthasim phone's family against the city of Milwaukee, this is what Dahmer said happened next.
He was on the couch, lying down with drilling technique already at the flight, and I thought he was asleep.
With his victim asleep, Dahmer went for a drink at a local bar.
Did you arrive at a conclusion as to whether or not you had taken his life as a consequence of the drilling technique? No, it hadn't. How do you know that? Because he was walking down the station.
What happened next was almost as unbelievable as the crime itself.
He was nude. Two girls had called 911 police or something. I put my arm around him, trying to walk him back to the apartment, and got halfway there, and that's when the police and rescue squad came in. The story he was a house guest friend who sometimes drinks too much on weekends, runs out of the street and dressed her naked.
Remarkably, Dahmer was able to convince police that Konarak, a slight 14-year-old boy, was his adult lover.
Wow.
They returned him to the apartment.
It's disgusting. Disgusting. And we don't need to get into it, but they recreate this scene in the Netflix show based on some of the...
Too big, too much. That's why I couldn't watch a Netflix show. There's a few things there I'm like, that's just too big for my brain to handle. I would have just exploded.
Yeah. Some of the facts in the Netflix show were accurate to the case file, and we don't need to really go down that road too much, but suffice it to say that, the cops were uncomfortable with the gay situation and just let him take this kid back to his apartment. I think they knew is what I'm implying, that it was a 14-year-old kid.
They knew it was a 14-year-old kid. Probably they knew something. Insidious was happening, they didn't want to get involved because it's like, oh, it's scary.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to, and it's disgusting and horrible, and I hate it very much.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So when Dahmer finally gets synthasimphone back into his apartment, he injected a lethal dose of acid into the pre-hole drilled in his brain, which did prove to be fatal. The rest of Dahmer's victim very much became a story of repetition. Money for photos, drugging, strangulation, dismemberment. We'll take a look at the photos of the remaining victims here. Here's Matt Turner, Jeremiah Weinberger, Oliver Lacey, and Joseph Braidhart.
Oh, God.
Dahmer would murder them, strip the flesh from the bones, and boil all the rest in Slaylacks until liquid. Place the torsos in the 57-gallon drum in his bedroom filled with acid until it would melt, and then keep the bones in his closet, which would ultimately become a shrine of sorts. And he would contain the remains of his victims that we spoke of previously.
Where did he work during this time? Sorry to interrupt. Where did Dahmer go to work?
He had a few different jobs. He worked at a chocolate factory at one point.
Okay.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, and I was just curious because if he was employed, because doing all of this barrel and doing the stuff that he does is very physically exhausting. Yeah. I don't know how he got the strength. Oh, well, he was, okay, maybe he was young enough to have the strength. I would be so exhausted after one body. Yeah. But yeah, like all that process, it's not like smoking a cigarette. It's very physically taxing.
It was very physically taxing, and it required a lot of equipment, and it took a toll on his apartment and the neighbors therein. Like I said, again, the reports of screaming, running chainsaws, the smell of death constantly emanating from his apartment. These all would become, factors in the arrest filings, which we will dive into next week. We'll also get into what they found in his apartment, his confession, the trial, and then the media portrayals of Dahmer, and then ultimately his timely demise.
Look at that! So this is this is the final part for next week. Oh, Beefy, you are
4 parts,
darling.
But yeah, I had to finish up all the victims, and we had to kind of breeze through a few of them, but I didn't want to give the notion that we weren't paying homage to them, especially we're wrapping up Gay Pride Month, and it's very timely that we're talking about Dahmer. That wasn't planned. I want to say that for everybody, that wasn't something we did unintentionally, but I think it's important that we acknowledge it, that it was very much time of the day back then that he preyed upon the gay community, and thank God we've made a lot better strides today, but we still have a long way to go.
We still have a long way to go. Yeah, and I'll mention that because I know the Pride Month is over. This month has been very busy. I think we said Happy Pride, but I've mentioned that I've came across someone who was like, why do we always have to hear the pride stuff? Why? And it's like, no, what people don't understand is pride it's not just for the LGBTQ community. Pride is universal. It's about being pride for who you are, right? Because when you accept everything about you, you take power away from people who want to harm you. That's why pride is important. It gives you power. It gives your power back, and it prevents you, or at least limits you, from being exploited. That's what pride means. And because even though there's gay rights, even though there's gay marriages, like we all know with Roe v. Wade, right? It's not, if the Supreme Court can reverse that, then they can reverse your right. And so that's why it's important that we have those Pride months, because we want to make sure the world never forgets that we exist. Because if you let it happen, people will forget that we exist. And heteros, pride is also for you. Be happy about everything about you, because then the person next to you cannot harm you because you've accepted your flaws, and so happy Pride again. And
that's a great segue into our final thought.
The final thought.
Yeah.
And I have one now, and
Yeah,
it's very much indicative to our conversation earlier about finding validation in external sources, and again, pride in what you are, not just for the LGBTQ plus community, but also for society at large. And we'll leave you with these parting words: is that no matter who or what you are, like we said earlier, there are good people and there are bad people, but you are okay. I don't care who you are, what your proclivities are, what you've done in your life. You don't need validation from others. You are good enough just being you. When you were born, you were okay, and you matter, and you have value. It's very much, it's easy for me to say that to you, our audience, our collective audience, but it's very much a lesson that I am learning myself and learning to practice daily. And I'm not really there yet. I still have very much struggle with it myself. I'm sure, Alistair, you probably have had, maybe you haven't, but I
struggle with it, of course.
Issues with self-value, and
of course.
It really doesn't matter, like I said, what you've done with your life, what your accomplishments are, if you've made mistakes, who you are as a person. You as a human being have value, and there will be people out there that will love you and will care about you, and you can find ways to contribute to get that external validation, but you do not need it. You are okay as you are, as you sit here right now, and we love you. We love you. We love you so much.
Yes, Beefy. Again, a preach, darling. Yes. No, you're right. You're 100% right. You guys have value. That's a great final thought. And even when you make mistakes, so if you've made mistakes, it's okay. You're human. You're supposed to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, then you're not a human. And if you don't make mistakes, then you're not alive. Part of being alive is to be full of flaws, right? And so your flaws is what makes you you. That's why I find human beings so interesting. So no, Beefy, what you said is absolutely stellar. Absolutely stellar. Yeah.
What really matters is how you handle those mistakes when you make them. You look at like Daryl Brooks and some people that refuse to take accountability. And that's where we start to get into where people maybe aren't so okay and shouldn't have as much validation and self-worth as they do. So, just take accountability for your own S. Know that you have value and know you'll make mistakes in the future. Just, learn from your mistakes.
There's another side to this coin. I'm going to add to this, and then we can wrap it up. Is that don't feel pressured to be somebody else's crutch at your expense. And I think in the same word that you said, Beefy, some people might take it and then run with it to the extreme. And what I mean by that is that you may have someone close to you who may need you. You be there for them, but don't be there for them at your expense for extended period of time, because then that would affect your personal value. And I always say, if you are not okay, you will have a hard time taking care of someone else. So don't forget about you.
Yeah. You have value, and we value you because you're here, and we want you to come back next week as well, where we will wrap up. We will wrap up Dahmer. I'm going away for the weekend. I'm pretty excited.
You are going to go to July 4th, and you're going to eat barbecues and burgers and all that mess.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm going to eat like crap. Yep. Our dietary plan is going out the window. I'll tell you. I mean, hamburgers and hot dogs. No.
Okay, good.
Sobriety first and foremost.
Sorry, I had to throw in there just in case. But yeah.
I appreciate you, man. The checkups. I'm noticing there who's truly there for me because they check up on me, and it's I really appreciate it, man. You're very caring. And,
you are welcome. I
love you.
All right, I'm not doing anything for July 4th. I'm done traveling. I'm sick of it. United took all my air wings out of the sky. I'm relaxing. Yeah.
There you go. Have a staycation. Watch the fireworks on TV. Put
No.
your feet up.
So what I'm going to do is, work, my work situation. No, I'm going to, didn't work out pretty well, but it's okay. Now I'm going to go back on my YouTube and focus on Love That a little bit because I have some
Nice.
free time. Yeah.
Nice,
I'm coming
nice.
up with new things. My niece, the 18-year-old girl with the short skirt and the long hair. She is, she's giving me pointers. She's giving me pointers, and so
For
I'm gonna-
YouTube?
yeah.
Nice.
They're millennials. They're young. They know what people like, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have a meeting with her. I have a business meeting with her.
There you go.
She's going to juice up my image. So she says, and she's like, "I'm going to make you right." She said, "I'm gonna make you right, Uncle Alistair." I was like, "Okay, Ashley, sure."
So be sure to check out Alistair's channel for his new content that's likely probably already up. And tune in next week as we finish up Jeffrey Dahmer.
All right, guys.
You want to take us home?
Yes, I'll take you guys home. Okay, listen, not to my house, get out of here. No, I'll take you guys home. Listen, of course, like, subscribe. If you enjoyed this, please go ahead, click the like button. It really helps us. However, thank you so much for being with us. I'll see you guys next week. You are the best, one of the best thing that ever happened to us, right, Beefy?
Mm-hmm. The best thing that's ever happened to us. We love you.
One of the best, because I have a daughter, okay? So one of the best. Yeah. Sorry.
Happy 4th of July, guys.
Yes, happy 4th of July.
Bye.
Bye.
End transmission.
Thank you for watching.